Hey everyone, you're tuned into InfoQuench with Jeff.
And Amy. Join us as we talk about anything.
And everything.
All the stuff that makes life interesting.
So let's get to it. Hey everybody, and welcome to InfoQuench. I'm your host Jeff.
And I'm Amy.
And this podcast was part 3 of questions to fall in love and stay and fall in love or stay in love
36 questions to fall in love or to fall more in love.
Yes.
So whoever you happen to be isolated with during this pandemic, we're going through a batch of questions to help you get to know each other a little bit better.
Yeah, why not? There's no better time, right?
Right.
There's no better time. I mean, a lot of people... I wonder if people are in situations where they just started a relationship right as this pandemic hit, you know, and they're like just moved in together or something like that, and they're just getting to know one another. This would be perfect for those people.
That's right. Well, the pandemic would be the perfect test, wouldn't it?
It would be the perfect test. What did you read something a while back? It was like either there's going to be lots of babies or lots of divorces. Yeah,
exactly. It'll be one or the other. In 9 months, we'll see some divorces or there'll be some pandemic babies being born. But
maybe
I'm hoping for the babies.
You can avoid the divorces if you read these and answer these questions with one another.
Right. So the idea behind this, if you didn't catch parts 1 and 2, I suggest maybe you go back and listen to those first. But
absolutely,
really, it's just about getting to know one another a little bit better. And the idea initiated with research study that looked at people who didn't know each other and they were just meeting for the first time and going through these questions. But it also works in relationships that are, already well ingrained, but just, taking the time to reflect on some of these questions. And it's just they're a great way to start some conversation over maybe a glass of wine or a cup of coffee.
Did they go back and see how many of these people that asked these questions to one another actually fell in love?
They did. And our listeners can go back to part 1 to see how many... what the results of that were.
Because we don't remember, and we did go over it though, because we don't miss much, we don't miss much.
So there are 36 questions all together, and we covered 12 questions in part 1 and 12 in part 2, and the last 12 in part 3, and each set is intended to get a little bit deeper. So the first 12 are relatively easy for us to answer. We struggled a little bit during part 2. I think that they were a little bit more deep, a little more personal. And I'm back in the driver's seat for this part where I'll be asking the questions. And so Jeff will have the opportunity to answer first. If the question is a little bit too personal, then we're just going to put it out there for your own contemplation and for you to discuss with your partner. And we probably won't get into...
We went through these questions before we came onto the podcast, and I found every single one of them too personal. But you know what? I'll do my best.
We sort of read through them quickly, but I know I don't have any answers ready to go. So we'll see how we make out.
We'll see.
So... we're on the first question of the third set, but it's question 25 of the 36.
25 of the 36.
So, make 3 true we statements each. And I'm doing we in quotations. You can't see me doing the air quotes by a podcast. But so make 3 true we statements each. So, for instance, we are both in this room feeling blank. That would be something that you feel is actually a true statement.
Okay. We are an excellent team when it comes to our relationship and our son and everything. You know what I mean? We have the same, ideas as to what we like about interior design. That is one of the things that we share. The third thing I would say is that we love our friends and family so much. Yeah, that's my answers.
Okay. My we statements would be, and I have to know for certainty, I guess, that they're absolutely true. We are both here recording a podcast.
That's right. That's your number one. That's
my number one.
That's a cop-out.
That's not a cop-out.
Mine are deep.
I know.
Okay, go ahead.
You carry the depth of our relationship.
I do. Sometimes.
We are both... we are both taking the pandemic and isolation seriously.
Yeah.
I
We're
think
a
we're-
team. That was
Well,
mine.
I can imagine there are some relationships where you have one
Yeah.
part of the couple who's maybe following the government directives a little bit more stringently than the other, and I bet you that's causing some tension. You
Oh,
know,
absolutely.
you got maybe if you got one half of the couple who's washing their hands diligently when they come into the home, and they're careful not to be, going out aside from essential, essential runs, and then you've got the other half. I can imagine that's going to cause some relationship decline.
Well, like the way we do it is our home is a safe zone after you've taken care of all the safety precautions before you sit down on the couch, for example. Like I don't, I see our house as a safe zone once we've taken all the proper precautions.
Yes.
Don't you? Do you?
I do, but I also still practice, I practice
touch your eyes.
not touching my face
Yeah,
and
I
those sort of
try
things
at
because I think it's hard to turn that stuff on and off. So I feel like if you can build the habit continuously, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
I need one more true,
one more true
we
thing.
statement. We both value our roles as parents.
That's what I said too.
That's
But,
okay.
Okay,
There
you're
was
allowed
no
to say the
little
same
thing that
things.
said that you couldn't say the same. It just
you're
makes
allowed.
it boring for the listener, I guess. Sorry, listeners.
I know there's a lot of
I wasn't
thought
overly
happening
creative.
in this podcast, and so there's a lot of like pauses where there's nothing happening. So you just have to get our listeners used to that,
Well,
being on the edge of their seats, waiting
yeah, that's
for
what
us
I was
to
going
answer.
for. But
Yeah.
really, listeners, this is these are questions for you to contemplate. So, we're giving you our answers as examples and kind of going through the
Yeah.
process. But if you go through it with your partner, that's where the value comes from, not from listening to us prattle on. Question 26. Complete this sentence. The capital of Bhutan is.
What? That's not one. That's not even one.
I know. I just wanted to see. You were taking a drink of wine. I wanted to see if you were paying attention. No, that's not it. The sentence is, I wish I had someone with whom I could share blank.
Wow, my life with.
But you already have that.
I know, and I'm happy I do.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I
An
wish
ice cream? I would wish, I could share an ice cream.
I was going to say pizza. I wish I had
Pizza.
someone with whom I could share just a greasy old takeout pizza.
Ice cream.
A nice slice of Julius pizza here from St. John, New
Yeah.
Brunswick would be awesome.
Ice cream would be the exact bad thing to, like the worst thing you could possibly share during a pandemic.
That's right. Are you going to shake their hands and give them hugs? And
Here,
be
I
within
took a
6
lick. Now
inches
it's
of
your
them?
turn to take a lick. Anyway.
No, but I mean, I think for you, maybe it's to share your love of, you enjoy sharing your love of music, right?
Yeah.
So you enjoy spending time with people who share your passion for music
do.
and records and,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
that sort of thing. So I would think people may have different answers there. They might be to share their love of nature, to share, but we both went to food.
We both went to food. I mean, we haven't had any pizza. We're used to having pizza once a week or whatever.
We've had some homemade pizza.
We make our own homemade pizza. That's
And
true.
it's pretty good.
Yeah, it is pretty good. Chicken pizza.
Number 27.
Cajun chicken.
27. Those
Yep.
Cajun chickens.
Number 27.
If you were going to become a close friend with your partner, assuming we weren't already, please share what would be important for him or her to know. So this is sort of something about yourself that you feel somebody who is going to be your close friend should know about you.
Geez, I don't know. That you better not cross me. You better not cross me.
Or
you know?
else what?
You better be fair. You better be, even keeled and stuff. And you better not steal from me. Oh, I had a friend that stole from me once, man. And not just once, systematic,
Well, fool you once.
yeah.
Shame on.
I don't even know how much money
Whatever that
he
saying
stole
goes.
from me, but I'm just a trusting person, and you never really expect people to do that. But anyway,
Was it a.
don't steal from me. That's my
Okay. Good to know. I won't steal from you.
yeah. You better not.
I would say somebody who's I'm not good with criticism.
No, not many people are, I don't think.
I don't know. I think some people have thick skin and they can take it. I'm not great with it. I need it to be really softened.
Yeah.
I love feedback. I always want feedback because I'm always looking to improve myself and get better in everything. But,
Right.
And I think I take criticism better in certain environments, like, in school, from teachers or in a work environment. But from friends, I think I would have a harder time with criticism. So
You
yeah,
don't
that's
get
something.
criticized very much from friends, though, do you?
Oh no, I know.
No.
Well, they wouldn't be my friends.
No, that's exactly it.
Tell me all nice things. Just inflate my ego. Otherwise, you're out.
That's right.
You're out of here. Number 28. Tell your partner what you like about them. Be very honest this time, saying things that you might not say to someone you've just met. So you may recall, if you listened to part 2, that Jeff and I had to give each other, I think one of the questions was to say 5 nice things about each other, and Jeff seemed to struggle a little bit about this with this. So now you only have to say one thing, but it has to be a little bit more deep, I guess, by the phrasing.
I like how you tend to capture those tender family moments with photographs or videos and stuff to save.
Oh,
And
really?
Yeah, that's really nice. It's a nice thing that you do.
It's something I'm always self-conscious about when I whip out a camera sometimes, because I hear people saying, just enjoy the moment, you don't need to
You
always
are
have
enjoying
everything
the
taken
moment by
picture.
whipping out the camera.
But I also love reflecting on those photos. I love when
Yeah.
the Facebook memories come up, or just going back through the different digital photo albums that we create.
Yeah.
So
Your kid's only 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and nothing so long.
that's right.
Well, not nothing, but
Yeah, it's that's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay. What do I like about you? I love that you always have music going.
No, you don't.
think
You hate that. No, I'm just saying. So
Why do you think I hate that?
Well, you don't like music on sometimes because you want to watch the TV or something
well, if
like
it's
that.
blaring, but I appreciate the
Yeah.
fact that you always want a soundtrack to our lives.
Oh yeah.
If we're in the car, you have a playlist going.
Yeah, that's true. Even if we're
know.
just going for like a 5-minute drive, I'm like, I got a tune to
Right.
play. And
Or sometimes
not all
we'll
the
stop
time,
home,
but
pop home to grab something, and we're in the house for 5 minutes, and you put a record on.
Yeah, it's true.
So, no, I mean, I appreciate that about
That's
you.
good. I think we should have music nights then, where we just listen to records.
But when you have the music blaring and, like when I'm
No
on
one
a
can
conference
talk.
call and there's like
That
heavy
doesn't
metal,
happen, and you know it doesn't.
well, it did happen this week. There was a time when the music was quite loud, but I wasn't on a call, but I was expecting a call.
Right. So, no harm done.
You could see the looks we're giving each other.
Yeah.
Those are pure quarantine
Whatever.
looks. It was a little loud, but I know that you need to listen to some music that way. So, on to the next question. That was very honest. Number 29. Share with your partner an embarrassing moment in your life.
I don't really have many embarrassing moments, but there was one time when I was on a school trip to Montreal, Quebec City, and Ottawa, and we had buddies. We weren't allowed to be alone. We had to have a friend with us at all times. And we were somewhere, I can't even remember where it was, but we were in a building and we were coming out of the building. And we were walking down a hill, and I thought my friend was directly behind me, and I grabbed his arm. I thought it was his arm, but it ended up being a complete stranger. I'm like, come on, we got to get to the bus. And then the person was like yelling at me in French and stuff. And I was like, oh, whoa, that was really embarrassing. So that was
And a little scary, maybe.
It was a little embarrassing, but that's the only thing that comes to my head.
Is it really? I get
Yeah,
embarrassed on the regular.
Yeah.
I am
Oh,
continuously
there was one time
embarrassed.
I was doing first aid at work, and we had to get down to work on the dummy or whatever, and a sock came out of my pant leg from the laundry the night, like when and that was funny. But anyway, because everybody got a good laugh. Everybody saw it. What's this? Oh, a sock?
It wasn't even underwear or anything. It was
No,
just
it was a sock.
That's not embarrassing.
Yeah. Well, that's
Sorry,
fine.
I don't want to judge
Well,
your
let's hear
level of
yours then.
embarrassment. Well, does your face go red when you get embarrassed?
No, yours does though.
Mine does, and I think that leads to further embarrassment. So I'm a redhead,
Yeah.
by nature. Maybe not currently,
A
but
natural redhead, if you
natural.
will.
I'm a natural redhead. So when I get embarrassed, I can feel the heat in my face immediately, and then as soon as you start to feel that flush come on, then you become even more embarrassed because
Right.
your embarrassment is evident to other people.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything specifically, but I often get embarrassed. I
Yeah.
can't, I couldn't nail it down to one embarrassing moment.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't
I'm just
think.
always conscious of,
Yeah.
how I'm being perceived.
Yeah.
I wish I wasn't, but it's just part of who I am, so I've learned to accept it. All right, number 30. When did you last cry in front of another person? And when did you last cry by yourself?
I think the last time I cried both by myself and with another person was when your dad had his stroke. That was really, really rough on all of us. So I think that was
Yes, that was a long time ago.
like three and a half years ago or so. I think
Gee.
now,
I cried.
because we weren't sure how it was touch and go for a while.
I cried just a few days ago when there was a story on CNN. I think there was a father who had passed away from COVID down in the States,
Oh,
and they were interviewing the wife.
okay.
And,
Oh yes, you did. I remember that.
I mean,
remember
not.
watching that with
I
you.
wasn't like
No,
sobbing,
bawling, but it was
it
sad.
it definitely it got to me, and it was actually the first time that sort of in the pandemic that there was a story that, and there's been a lot of really horrible stories, but by myself, I really can't recall.
Yeah.
I can't recall.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, when you're we have a lot of tragedy going on around the world, and I'm very much an empath. So when I see others in pain, I tend to feel that
I think
pain
I know
directly.
why these questions work for people, like to get closer to one another, because all the questions ask all like the upmost positive things and the really negative, not negative, but
Yeah, it's the full
sad
spectrum
things.
of emotion, right?
Yeah, and that's why, because then you don't, like, I can see some people being very closed off, like, I don't talk about my feelings, like, whomever it is, the guy or the girl, and then you're forced to answer these questions. So you you have to open up that door a little bit in order to answer some of these questions.
Well, and you could probe deeper too, and even like with the one around embarrassment. So I could say, well, what about, a sock falling out of your pant leg made you embarrassed, right? Like, so, or what was it about that? And I think that would be quite telling about somebody too. Like, what was it, a fear of judgment of other people? Was it, what did you think they would be judging you on?
Yeah.
Did they think that you're
What
just
was your
hoarding
embarrassing
socks?
thing? Your
I
particular-
couldn't nail it down
Oh,
to one because I get
okay.
embarrassed a lot.
Yeah. Okay. I was like, I don't remember yours.
And I don't know if embarrassed it's an interesting word, but I'm just always very conscious of the people around me, and I don't know.
Yep.
Number 31. Tell
Mm-hmm.
your partner something that you like about them already. What's interesting is this list it's in several places, 36 ways to fall in love. And I thought, is that a duplication or triplication? Because it seemed like it was this, a triplicate of the same question. But yeah, tell your partner something that you like about them already.
I like, it's my turn, right?
It is.
I like that whenever we go away on a trip, which hopefully we do go away on a trip sometime in the future. I'm sure we will. Things are going to open up. Anyway, I like how you have a list on your iPhone of all the things that we should bring and not forget. And you add to it each trip and take away from it each trip. And you're on it. So we don't forget things like, what flight we're on and stuff like that.
Yeah, those
Like,
are critical
very important
things.
And critical things.
And if you, listener, like that little bit of information, you might want to check out some of our previous episodes on
Yeah.
travel tips. We've got a few.
We've got a lot. How many freaking podcasts do we have now? Like
We're in the 60s.
Wow.
We are in the 60s.
We've covered a lot of different subjects.
We're hoping the audio's better on this one. So I
we're-
noticed we
I'm really bummed about like the change in the sound, but I just don't know how to fix it. I'm not an audio guy, and we can't just get somebody in here to fix it. So
No,
we
when
just
we
gotta
noticed
deal
that
with
the
it.
last one was a little quieter than our others, so hopefully you were
pumped it
able
up.
to just pump up your volume on your however you were listening. Probably was a little quiet in a car, but with headphones you can just jack up the volume. So we pumped it up a bit on this episode, hoping that the quality's still
Your turn.
good. Oh yes. So what I like about you is how laid back you are.
Okay.
It's the perfect balance to my
Frenetic.
not frenetic. Interesting choice of words.
It can be.
Well, my not laid backness. And actually, I describe on our podcast website, infoquench.com, I have like a little about section where I described us, and I talked about myself as being, I described myself as being not so laid back. And that's fine. I think both of us contribute different things to the relationship.
I think it
because of
took
that.
us a long time to get used to balancing that, though, because it's not an easy thing for someone who's laid back always to like coincide with somebody who's not always laid back, because you react to something and then my reaction is just to be laid back about it, and your reaction is not to be laid back about it, and then there's a clash there, right?
Who was right about the pandemic?
Well, yeah, I knew the pandemic was coming too, but
I know, but in early days when I was very vigilant around disinfecting and that sort of thing, I had the feeling that you thought I was being a little bit frenetic about it. But in this
that
case,
doesn't mean you weren't right, though.
I was talking about this with somebody else, that I was saying that all the people who have any kind of, if they're germaphobes or this is your time to shine during a pandemic. You're like,
I think your philosophy though is to overreact and then hopefully you cover all of the bases. You know what I mean? And that makes sense. Like you overreact in order to avoid an accident happening, for example, or someone having a bad bug bite and having no afterbite or whatever. You know what I mean? You're always prepared for that kind of thing.
I like to say, rather than overreact, I would use the words like to over-prepare.
Over-prepare. Okay, yeah, all right.
I want to be prepared
to a
for any
laid-back
situation.
But to a laid-back person, sometimes it's overreacting. It's just a fact
right.
of nature.
That's how you would perceive it.
Yeah, that's how. And I would be completely wrong.
And I might perceive a laid-back person as being always underprepared.
Right. Although you have to admit, I'm pretty prepared. Anyways, go ahead. We'll leave it at that.
Where are we at? Oh, okay. Here, this is an interesting one. Number 32. What, if anything, is too serious to be joked about?
I don't know. I think nearly anything can be joked about, because comedians do it all the time. You look at what's that guy's name that we just watched? We just watched a series on him on Netflix. Anyways, his whole thing is to go over the top. Like, he jokes about everything, things that you wouldn't expect. And I honestly do believe that anything can be joked about.
I think you and I both fall back on humor
It's
for
a
comfort
release
in any
as well.
situation.
It's a valve.
Some people will say that, a certain amount of time has to pass before you can joke about something.
Yeah.
So, for instance, you might be able to joke about, I don't know, an event that took place 50 years ago, but if it's something very recent and
like, there are some really like hairy, very controversial topics, but comedians, their job is to go after those topics and find the funny in it, so that it releases, it makes us a little bit more relaxed about those controversial topics, I feel.
I feel the same way. I think that's important, that when you're on the same wavelength of that. Not everybody feels that way. I know that there are people who feel that you're making light of a situation rather than just seeking comfort in laughter, which is how I think you and I both perceive it to be. So apparently nothing is too serious to be joked about, but I'm sure there are some, pretty tragic situations.
It depends on how it's joked about too, right? I mean,
right. I mean, even if you look at satire, right, where you can joke about something and
like at Jonathan Swift,
and it brings awareness to it.
Right.
With the famine, with the Irish potato famine.
Yeah, like the modest proposal.
Right.
Anyway. Yeah.
All right. Number 33, if you were to die this evening with no opportunity to communicate with anyone, what would you most regret not having told someone? And if there is something, why haven't you told them yet?
All right, I got to come clean with this one. In 1994, I won $200 million. And I've just been slowly spending it my whole life. So it's just been trickling out. And so I've come clean. I've come clean about it right now. So you're not getting any of my money. I won it fair and square a long time ago. And that's that. No, I don't have an answer for that one. I don't know.
That would have been amazing, though.
I
Wouldn't
know.
it be amazing if that was like you told me on a podcast and I was just like,
What?
what?
We're millionaires?
And we can't do anything with it because we're in a pandemic.
Yeah. It's funny.
We can't even go buy a car. I don't really have anything. I tell all the people
You don't
I
have to
love
answer all
on the
questions.
regular. I tell them, I always end my phone calls with how much I love the
Yeah.
people in my life, and when I'm thinking about people, I reach out and let them know that. I
Yeah.
really don't. I mean, not that I'm sure we all have room for improvement.
I feel people
but
are
I don't-
doing that a heck of a lot more, considering that we are in a pandemic.
Oh yeah, I think it definitely puts a different, perspective on it,
Mm.
right? There's a different lens of just what's important in life.
Absolutely.
And relationships are
Yeah.
definitely, key. So, 35, of all the people in your family, whose death would you find most disturbing and why? I think we probably both have the same answer to this one.
Yeah, definitely our son.
That's
I
right.
mean, yeah.
I mean, because
Next, we don't even want to.
No, I know, but I mean, the death of a child is a life that's unfulfilled, right? And that's a hard thing. It's and the cat, that would be awful.
Yeah, Amy hates the cat. Well, she doesn't hate him, but anyway.
I'm having to spend a lot more time with him lately than I've had to in the past.
And you haven't even tried to get to know him a little bit better. You haven't, and neither has he, though. So it's a two-way street.
Oh, I know. Number 36. Share a personal problem and ask your partner's advice on how he or she might handle it. Also, ask your partner to reflect back to you how you seem to be feeling about the problem you have chosen.
Share a personal problem?
This is how they're ending it.
All right, so this is... All right.
So you can imagine if you were dating somebody and this is the question.
This is, my personal problem is that I wasn't able to come clean about the lottery for a very long time. So I'm doing it now. And I don't even really like having this much money. I'm going to tell you that right now. So I'm going to give it all to the cat. Go ahead. Your turn. Take it away.
Spectacular.
Take it away, honey.
My problem
What's
is...
your problem?
we
What's
need-
your problem
We
anyway?
need more people listening to this podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good segue. So tell all your friends to listen to our podcast,
Yeah, we're into
InfoQuench.
60-something episodes, folks. So there's a little bit of something for everyone. We've got episodes. If you haven't listened to some of our past episodes, there are episodes on parenting, travel. We did a whole series on Maria
Don't you think about
Kondo.
turning off this podcast? Don't you even think about it. Don't think about turning off this podcast while we
And,
talk about our previous podcasts.
That's right. No, check it out. And you know what? Let others know. And if you're a local from St. John, it's, great to support a local podcast and check out some of the other great local podcasts going on in our area.
Right, Strange Grooves.
Strange Grooves, a great podcast.
Yep.
Pagan Place.
Yeah. Oh, we both said Pagan Place at the same
Yeah.
time.
And Kelly Lawson has a new
Kelly Lawson's new
podcast,
is
Workshop
incredible.
Weekly.
Yeah.
There are so many amazing podcasts that are done by some local people here in St. John, New Brunswick, and the greater St. John area. And I know we have some listeners from elsewhere, but we've got a lot of talent here.
So
in
you
our
guys have
area.
learned a lot about us, this podcast. Why don't we learn a little bit more about you? Perhaps you could give some of the answers of the questions to us and let us know about you.
Give us your deepest, most personal feedback.
What's your problem, listeners? What's your problem? Share it with us.
We've got a ton of content on Instagram, so be sure to hop on over to our Instagram account. Just search out InfoQuench Podcast and be sure to follow us there. That tends to be where we have most of our stories. We do have a Facebook page set up and a Twitter account as well. So, check us on all the platforms. And
So my question to you guys is, after all these questions, have you guys fallen in love with us?
I know I've fallen more in love with you, honey.
I know I've
every
fallen in
minute
love
of
with
every
you too.
day.
Maybe you could work for the cat. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks for listening.
And remember, you can catch up on past episodes at infoquench.com.
Or just about anywhere else you get your podcasts.
Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
And help spread the word about InfoQuench.
Till next time.